There's a city older than the pyramids, sitting at the bottom of the ocean. And it's in water so shallow you could literally snorkel over the rooftops. The city is called Pavlopetri. It sits off the coast of southern Greece, in Vatica Bay, and it's not some crumbling ruin. It's a complete Bronze Age city. Streets, courtyards, buildings with up to 12 rooms, a planned urban layout that was designed over 5,000 years ago. To put that in perspective, Pavlopetri was already a functioning city when the Great Pyramid of Giza was just an idea. It was thriving when writing was still being invented, and it's still there, right now, under about 2 meters of water. Here's what makes this even crazier. Pavlopetri wasn't discovered by some deep-sea expedition with submarines and sonar. It was found by a guy looking at aerial photographs. In 1967, a scientist named Nicholas Fleming was studying the Greek coastline from above, and he noticed something weird. Perfectly straight lines on the seabed. Nature doesn't make straight lines. Those lines turned out to be streets, and not just one or two, an entire road network. A whole city grid just sitting there, visible from the sky, in water so clear you could see it from a plane. The next year, Cambridge University sent a team to map the site. What they found was unlike anything archaeologists had ever seen. Most ancient underwater sites are just fragments. A wall here, a column there. Puzzle pieces with half the pieces missing. Pavlopetri is different. UNESCO calls it one of the oldest planned cities ever discovered, and its entire layout is intact. We're talking about residential neighborhoods, administrative buildings, pottery factories, markets, and a cemetery with kissed graves still visible on the seafloor. This wasn't a village. This was a real city with infrastructure, industry, and a social hierarchy. The submerged remains cover over 500,000 square feet. That's roughly the size of 10 football fields, all preserved under 2 meters of water. 2 meters. That's shallow enough that a strong swimmer could touch the buildings without even diving. So who lived here? Pottery fragments found at the site tell us Pavlopetri was first inhabited around 2,800 BC, the early Bronze Age. The city was home to skilled craftsmen and traders who turned this coastal settlement into a busy port. They made their own pottery, but they also imported wares from Crete and other Mediterranean cultures, which means Pavlopetri was plugged into an international trade network 5,000 years ago. They had metalworkers producing bronze tools, weapons, and jewelry. This wasn't some backwater fishing village, this was a manufacturing hub. And the city kept going. It survived through the Minoan period, through the Mycenaean era, through some of the most dramatic chapters in ancient Greek history, and then, around 1000 BC, it stopped. 3 cataclysmic earthquakes. That's what researchers believe destroyed Pavlopetri. Around 1000 BC, a series of massive seismic events hit this region of Greece, and the land literally dropped. The city slipped beneath the waves and never came back up. And here's the ironic part. Those earthquakes are exactly why Pavlopetri is so perfectly preserved today. Because the city sank and stayed underwater for 3,000 years, nobody built on top of it. Nobody tore it down for building materials. Nobody looted it systematically. It just sat there, frozen in time. While every other Bronze Age city on land got rebuilt, conquered, buried, or erased, Pavlopetri was untouched. It's the closest thing we have to a time machine for the Bronze Age, a city that went underwater and simply waited to be found. And yeah, you're probably thinking it. Could Pavlopetri be the real Atlantis? Plato wrote about Atlantis around 360 BC, describing a great coastal city that sank beneath the sea in a single day and night of destruction. For 2,000 years, people have searched for that city everywhere: the Atlantic Ocean, the Caribbean, Antarctica. But Plato's story was set in the Mediterranean, and Pavlopetri is a Mediterranean coastal city that actually sank. We don't know for sure if Pavlopetri inspired the Atlantis myth, but it's the best real-world candidate we've ever found. A prosperous port city, destroyed by catastrophic events, submerged beneath the sea, lost for thousands of years. The parallels are hard to ignore.
But here's the part that honestly frustrates me.
Pavlopetri is under threat right now. UNESCO has warned that the site is being damaged by pollution, by commercial ships anchoring illegally in Vatica Bay, by looters stealing artifacts, and even by planned construction projects, pipelines and power plants near the site. Large ships discharge waste and ballast water directly over the ancient ruins. Greek authorities have been slow to act. In 2014, hundreds of local citizens formed a human chain in the water, literally standing together to protect the site. The Archaeological Museum in Neapolis now displays some of the recovered artifacts. But most of Pavlopetri's treasures are still underwater, still vulnerable, still waiting for real protection. A 5,000-year-old city survived earthquakes, tsunamis, and 3,000 years underwater. And now, it's being destroyed by cargo ships and bureaucracy. Think about that. Pavlopetri is more than an archaeological site. It's proof that entire civilizations can vanish, not just from the earth, but from memory. A city that was planned, built, and lived in for over 1,000 years. A city that traded across the Mediterranean, produced goods, had neighborhoods and factories. And then it sank, and humanity just forgot it existed. Until a guy looked at a photo from a plane and noticed that nature doesn't make straight lines. If you want to see more stories like this, civilizations that history locked away and forgot, subscribe to Past Unlocked History. And tell me in the comments, what other lost city do you think deserves to be uncovered? I read every single one.